Hello. If you're watching this, I want you to know something first. You're not weak. You're not broken. And you're not bad at boundaries. If setting boundaries makes you feel guilty. If saying no gives you anxiety. If protecting your peace feels selfish or scary. This video is for you. A lot of people talk about boundaries like they're simple. They say things like just say no or just walk away. But when you've experienced narcissistic abuse, emotional manipulation, gaslighting, or chronic emotional invalidation, boundaries are not simple. They're triggering. They're confusing. And sometimes, they feel dangerous. Because at some point in your life, boundaries were punished. Maybe when you spoke up, you were ignored. Maybe when you said no, you were guilt-tripped. Maybe when you expressed discomfort, you were called difficult, dramatic, selfish, or ungrateful. So your nervous system learned something very specific. Being easy keeps me safe. And now, even when you want to protect yourself, your body reacts before your mind does. Today, we're going to slow this down. This is not a motivational talk. This is not tough love. This is clarity. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 essential relationship boundaries you need after narcissistic abuse, not just what they are, but why they feel so hard, and how to approach them without abandoning yourself. Take your time with this. You don't need to apply everything at once. Healing is not about doing it perfectly. It's about doing it honestly. Let's start here, because if you skip this part, nothing else will make sense. Boundaries feel hard after narcissistic abuse because you were trained not to have them. This training didn't always happen in obvious ways. Sometimes it was subtle. Sometimes it was emotional. You learned that keeping the peace mattered more than telling the truth. Other people's emotions mattered more than your comfort. Love was conditional on how accommodating you were. So when people now say, just set a boundary, they're ignoring something important. Your nervous system associates boundaries with conflict, rejection, withdrawal of love, punishment, emotional danger. This is why even thinking about setting a boundary can make your heart race. It's not because you're weak. It's because your body remembers. Another reason boundaries feel difficult is gaslighting. When you've been gaslit long enough, you stop trusting your perception. You start asking, am I overreacting? Maybe I'm being too sensitive. What if I'm misunderstood? So instead of honoring discomfort, you question it. You don't say no because you're not sure you're allowed to. And then there's the trauma bond. A trauma bond forms when love and pain are mixed together. You're rewarded sometimes, punished other times, and you never know which version of the person you'll get. That inconsistency keeps you emotionally attached. So boundaries feel like abandonment, loss, risking the connection, even when the connection hurts. If this is you, I want you to hear this clearly. Your fear around boundaries is not a character flaw. It's a trauma response. And trauma responses need safety, not pressure. So we're not here to force boundaries. We're here to understand them. Let's clear up some confusion, because boundaries are one of the most misunderstood concepts in healing spaces. First, what boundaries are not? Boundaries are not about controlling other people. They are not about making someone behave differently. They are not punishments. They are not threats. And they are not long explanations. If you find yourself constantly explaining, justifying, or defending your boundary, that's already a sign something is off. A boundary does not require agreement. It does not require understanding. And it does not require validation. Now, what boundaries are? A boundary is a decision you make about what you will or won't tolerate, and what you will do if that line is crossed. That's it. A boundary is about your behavior, not theirs. For example, if you raise your voice at me, I will leave the conversation. If you disrespect me, I will reduce contact. If this situation feels unsafe, I will walk away. Notice something important here. You're not asking. You're informing. Another thing people don't talk about enough is this. Boundaries feel aggressive to people who benefited from your lack of them. So if someone suddenly says you've changed, or you're cold, or you're difficult, that doesn't automatically mean your boundary is wrong. It might mean the dynamic is changing. And unhealthy dynamics don't survive boundaries. One more important truth. Boundaries don't create distance. They reveal where distance already exists. Healthy people respect boundaries. Unhealthy people resist them. That resistance gives you information. And healing is about learning to trust that information instead of ignoring it. Now that we've laid the foundation, we're going to move into the first boundary. This one is often the hardest. Not because it's complicated, but because it happens internally before it ever happens out loud. This is the boundary most people skip. And without it, the others don't hold. Now, let's talk about emotional boundaries, the first and most essential type of boundary after narcissistic abuse. Emotional boundaries are about protecting your inner emotional space. They're not about ignoring feelings or becoming cold, they're about deciding what emotions you take responsibility for and what belongs to someone else. After abuse, many survivors feel responsible for other people's emotions. You might have thoughts like, if I make them upset, I'm a bad person. If I say no, they will hate me. I need to fix their feelings to be loved. Those are classic signals that your emotional boundaries were broken or ignored in the past. What emotional boundaries look like in practice. Not over-explaining your feelings. Not defending your emotions. Allowing yourself to feel without guilt. Not absorbing other people's anger or frustration. Example. Someone snaps at you. Your old reaction might have been, I must have done something wrong. I need to apologize. A healthy emotional boundary says, I will not take responsibility for your mood. I will respond calmly or step away if needed. Emotional boundaries also involve detachment from manipulation. Narcissists and manipulators often provoke emotions intentionally. Guilt tripping. Shaming. Creating chaos. Your emotional boundary protects you from reacting automatically. Key phrase to repeat to yourself. My emotions belong to me. I am not responsible for fixing theirs. Practical tip for emotional boundaries. Start small. Notice when you feel drained or triggered. Pause before responding. Ask yourself, is this my emotion or theirs? Choose your response consciously, not automatically. Remember, emotional boundaries are internal first, external later. Next is communication boundaries. Communication boundaries are about how, when, and to what extent you engage with others. After narcissistic abuse, many survivors respond immediately to messages, even when overwhelmed. Feel guilty for not replying quickly. Allow conversations to drain them emotionally. Here's the truth, your time and attention are yours to give or withhold. Communication boundary examples. Limiting calls or texts. Not responding immediately. Choosing when to communicate. Example phrases you can use. I will respond when I'm available. I'm not discussing this right now. I need space before I answer. A strong communication boundary does not require justification. You don't need to explain why you're taking space. You simply state your boundary calmly and stick to it. Why narcissists resist communication boundaries. Narcissists and manipulators rely on instant access to control you. When you slow down your responses or say no to unsolicited contact, it can trigger anger, guilt tripping, threats, or emotional manipulation. This is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign your boundary is working. Important mantra. Silence and space are tools for clarity, not punishment. Practical tip for communication boundaries. Decide what channels and timing feel safe for you. Let people know calmly and consistently. Practice delayed responses until it feels natural. Over time, your nervous system learns you are safe, even when others push back. Now that we've talked about emotional and communication boundaries, we move into boundary number 3, time and access boundaries. This is where most survivors feel powerful and guilty at the same time, because saying no to time and attention is directly against old conditioning. Now, let's talk about time and access boundaries. This boundary is about deciding who gets your time, energy, and attention, and under what conditions. After narcissistic abuse, many survivors drop everything for others, rearrange their lives for someone else's convenience, feel obligated to prove their loyalty or love. That's not generosity, it's old conditioning. Examples of healthy time and access boundaries. Saying no to last-minute demands. Leaving situations when you feel uncomfortable. Prioritizing your rest, commitments, and emotional safety. Example phrases. I can't meet today, I need to take care of myself. I'll join when I'm ready, not on demand. My time is valuable, and I choose how to spend it. Why time and access boundaries trigger guilt. When you start claiming your time, narcissists or manipulators may Express anger or frustration. Use guilt to pull you back in. Call you selfish or uncaring. Here's the truth, your time belongs to you. Anyone who respects you will respect that. Anyone who doesn't was never valuing you to begin with. Key mantra. I have the right to decide how I spend my time. Saying no does not make me unkind. Practical tip. Schedule your time intentionally. Decide which relationships deserve your energy. Practice saying no calmly and without over-explaining. The more consistent you are, the more natural this becomes. The fourth boundary is consequences and consistency. Boundaries without consequences are just requests. If someone crosses a boundary and nothing happens, you teach them they can ignore it. Consistency is key. Calmly enforce your boundaries every time. Avoid giving in to guilt or emotional pressure. Respond the same way each time a boundary is crossed. Example of consequences. If someone yells at you, you calmly lead the conversation. If someone disrespects your time, you reduce contact. If someone ignores your emotional needs, you protect yourself by limiting exposure. Key mantra. Consistency teaches people how to treat me. Common challenges. Fear of escalation. Feeling mean or cold. Worrying about backlash. These are normal, especially when healing from abuse. Consistency is not cruelty. It is self-protection. The fifth and final boundary is your most important boundary, the one you keep with yourself. Self-boundaries are about honoring your needs, values, and limits. It's about choosing yourself over manipulation. After abuse, many survivors betray themselves to keep peace. Ignore intuition and bodily signals. Stay too long in toxic situations hoping things will change. Self-boundaries teach you when to walk away without guilt. When to prioritize rest, healing, and safety. That you do not owe anyone emotional labor at the expense of your well-being. Key mantra. I am my own safe place. I protect my peace first. Practical tip. Regularly check in with yourself. Does this align with my values and needs? Say no to anything that violates your self-respect. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for protecting. Your self-boundary is the foundation for all other boundaries. Without it, the others collapse under pressure. Let's recap the 5 essential boundaries. 1. Emotional boundaries. Protect your feelings and stop taking on others' emotions. 2. Communication boundaries. Decide when and how you engage with others. 3. Time and access boundaries. Choose who gets your energy and when. 4. Consequences and consistency. Enforce boundaries calmly and repeatedly. 5. Self-boundaries. Honor yourself first, above manipulation or guilt. Remember, boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are not punishment. Boundaries are clarity, safety, and self-respect. Start small. Pick one boundary to practice this week. Notice how your body reacts, and adjust slowly. Healing is a process, not a sprint. If you found this video helpful, like the video. Subscribe for more clarity and healing content. Comment below which boundary feels hardest for you right now. I've also made videos about dealing with guilt after setting boundaries, no contact strategies, healing from narcissistic abuse. I'll pin a comment linking these videos so you can continue building your peace, one boundary at a time. Take care of yourself. You deserve your boundaries. You deserve your peace.